I've been looking forward to this. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're ready to toe into summer as well. It is already June, probably by the time you're hearing this. Welcome to the Right Path to Retirement podcast, here with Jimmy Lynn, president, founder, and of course, financial advisor at Right Path Wealth Management there, serving the Las Vegas area and have been for a while. Call Jimmy and the team up, 702-805-7000, 702-805-7000, or go to Right Path WM. I'll let you all guess what WM stands for. That's wealth management, okay? RightPathWM.com. And Jimmy and the team also have their Facebook page up, working on some other things too. And we mentioned initials there because today we're going to get into the importance of what all that alphabet soup is after an investor's last name. But Jimmy, before we do that, how are you doing there, and how are we warming up? How are we feeling out in Vegas?
I'm doing exactly that, Doug. I'm warming up. Right? It's May going into June, and this is the tricky season because sometimes Mother Nature fools us, and we get kind of a mild June, and everyone thinks like climate change has worked in our favor. And then we get hit with a dose of reality, and like late June, July, obviously it's an oven out here. So this is the kind of time where we're just kind of feeling it out, figuring out if we're going to get blessed with a little bit of milder temperatures. So I'll let you know how it goes.
And then the cruel reality shows up, and you're like, okay, it's 100 degrees.
It's just like Father Time is undefeated. Mother Nature is undefeated, right?
That's correct.
Never going to be perfect forever.
Or in Vegas, Sister Summer, maybe. Yes.
Right.
I did see, and I didn't ask you about this before, but I did see on your Facebook page, I do check out the Right Path Wealth Management Facebook page there, so be sure everyone else to check it out too. I believe recently y'all did do a community event, right? Did you do an appearance with one of the charities you work with?
Oh, what we do is we actually promote one of our charities in our office, which is Opportunity Village. I think we've talked about this in the past, but yeah, it basically is a really well-known organization. It's been around in Las Vegas for decades, and they basically provide services for adults with mental disabilities, and we promote their art program. We display their artwork in our office, and we will purchase some as donation. We've had clients actually come in and purchase some artwork, and the neat thing, as we said, is that 50% goes to the charity and 50% goes to the actual artist, which is really neat.
Oh, wow. That's great. Okay. So there's artwork on display in the office. Maybe you want to support Opportunity Village. Or people could do that and not even be a client. Technically, they can set up their complimentary first appointment, 702-805-7000. Come on down, meet you guys, and buy some art. And maybe they determine, hey, I'm not ready to hire a financial planner right now, but they can walk out with some good artwork.
Yeah, we're still happy to support the community.
That's fantastic. Learn more about that, rightpathwm.com. They've got a section on there you can learn about their community service. I say there, Jimmy and his team's community service. He's sitting right here. They're not out of the room, okay? But on our last couple of episodes, we talked about 3 important money buckets, and also just, as you're arranging your money, creating that financial game plan. And we talked about just the tariffs and the impact of the economy. We've already seen that go back and forth, and the economy even have a rebound since the last time we recorded. But nonetheless, go to Apple, Spotify, some of the other podcatchers, and also rightpathwm.com. Get on the media page there. And if you hear something in the podcast you think other people should know about, send them the link as well, and be sure and subscribe. Turn on those notifications. The episodes come out roughly every 2 weeks. And this time around, as I mentioned, Jimmy, we're going to talk about that alphabet soup in the financial industry, whether it's QCDs, RMDs, 401ks, IRAs, whatever, right? There are so many acronyms. But there are very important acronyms after an advisor's name that people should know what they mean and know which ones have value. So I'd love for you to walk through that because you have some of your own, Jimmy.
Yes, absolutely. We want to talk about this because as we go through this podcast, I think that there are going to be some advisors that are probably going to be mad at me, but we kind of have to expose the industry for what it is, right? The industry has done a great job of creating confusion. Because when you see somebody's name and then you see 15 letters behind it, there's an assumption of expertise and knowledge, and it just elevates that individual. So it's great marketing, which I think is the exact goal that the industry is trying to create. But really, I think that confusion can also cause problems, right? They're trying to elevate the status of the position, But really, to the general public, it just looks like what you described, alphabet soup, right? Like we're just drinking out of a bowl of soup with a bunch of letters in there, and we don't know what we're consuming.
Not a great summer snack, by the way. I just got to say, I mean, we like hot food, but man, soup in the summer when it's 100 degrees.
Not in July, no. So basically, to kind of break it down, you really have to understand the fact that at a starting point, anybody can call themselves a financial planner or a financial advisor. It is not regulated in that way at all. I mean, I'll give you an example. We're in May right now. My kids are in high school, and there's a bunch of kids graduating from high school, this week. You can have one of those kids, senior in high school, 18 years old, graduates from high school, rolls out of bed, decides that they want to take a certification class that probably takes them about 4 or 5 hours to go through some online material. They take a quick exam, and guess what they get to do, Doug? They get to add some letters behind their name. And to the general public, they're like, wow, this person's got some letters behind their name. They talk a good game, and so they must be knowledgeable. Maybe I'll seek some help out from them.
Sure.
But the reality is there's levels, and so the industry's become a little bit self-regulating. And all certifications, all letters are not created equal. So I'll kind of go through what I have, and I'll admit, obviously, I'm a little bit biased, but I believe for financial planners is the CFP or Certified Financial Planner designation, right? So I would encourage the listeners to go Google that to just validate what I'm saying. And the difference is just the requirements to obtain this certification and then to maintain that certification. Right. Just as a starting point, I can't be that kid that just graduated from high school and decided to get this designation. You actually have to first have a bachelor's degree, a college degree, which could be good or bad. That doesn't mean somebody is a better advisor, but it just shows a level of maturity. Just the fact that they didn't just roll out of bed and decide, hey, I graduated from high school and now I'm ready to get that designation. It does require a bachelor's degree.
Does it have to be a bachelor's degree in something adjacent to finance, or is it just an idea of, hey, I went to 4 years of college?
Right. Just to show that level of maturity and commitment, you just have to have that bachelor's degree. But then on top of that, and these are just minimum requirements. Obviously, a lot of CFPs have much more than what these minimum requirements are, but you got to have a bachelor's degree. You have to have 3 years of experience in financial planning, right? So you have to have worked with clients or developed plans and really kind of learn the business. So again, you're not going to be, when you have somebody that has a CFP, you're not getting somebody that just is kind of learning on the job, right? That's really important. And then once you've gotten past those requirements, then you actually got to pass the test. So the educational component of it, oftentimes it could take you between 18 to 24 months just to finish the coursework. They go in depth into taxation, in depth into insurance, like life insurance and healthcare, Medicare. There's going to be estate planning, investments, and retirement planning. So it is specialized for retirement planning. And so it bodes well with people that are near retirement. But these are kind of just the minimum requirements that you can take. And then once you've gone through all that, Doug, then you got to sit through a 6-hour test and hope that you pass. Right. And I say all that just because it's important for the public to know that if I were advising my parents and I wasn't in the industry, but knowing what I know, I would tell them their minimum requirement should be to work with a CFP. Because you think about it, we're talking about people's life savings. They've saved 20, 30, 40 years, and they've done this hard work. But now they have to figure out how to turn everything that they've accumulated into an income stream that they can never outlive, and they can live the life that they want, have the experiences they want. You want to make sure that when you're kind of sharing that responsibility with a professional in your life, that person has some credentials in place that are meaningful. And so CFPs, I think, is kind of the minimum requirement for what I think people should look for the designation. I will add something, Doug, because I believe there is a certain combination of designations that are powerful. Again, full disclosure, I'm being biased here, but you know that a lot of what we talk about is taxation. So taxes are just so complicated. The tax code changes every single year. I've never heard somebody tell me they think the tax code is simple, and it just gets more complicated in retirement. Yeah. So I believe that once you have somebody that has that CFP, a really important designation that I believe adds a lot of value So that's going to be looking for either a CPA or an enrolled agent. And so both of those designations or certifications have with it a requirement to have a really deep understanding of the tax code. The difference between a CPA and enrolled agent really is just if you had a business and you needed, an income statement or an audit or anything like that, you would definitely want a CPA. But when you're talking about federal taxation, which is really what we talk about in retirement, that's where an enrolled agent shines because we're just required. I mean, the coursework for that, you got to take 3 different exams 3 different times. Oof. So the combination of those things, I think really is what's important for the general public to see, that they have to know what those different letters mean and the value that they add, because anyone can go out and just collect a bunch of letters, pay a fee, and you're good to go, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what we're trying to do is we go through all this education to get all these certifications. And then what this should tell to the public is, first, this person has done the work, has educated themselves. But all of these larger certifications, they have pretty intense continuous education. You got to have like 30 hours of education every year to maintain your designation. So it's not just a set it and forget it. You pass it once and you forget all that information. It keeps their mind sharp, right? They're learning about the new concepts or the new rules that are coming out because it's a requirement to maintain those designations. And so it's not only the upfront work, but that when you're working with someone that is a CFP, that's an enrolled agent, that not only have they done the work, but they're on top of what's going on in the industry and in the tax laws so that they can provide you with compliant advice. So that's a long-winded answer, Doug, to kind of tell you that a CFP is the gold standard for many people in the industry. And I just think that coupled with some type of tax designation, CPA or an enrolled agent, is a really powerful combination to help kind of bring people successfully through retirement.
Now, I'm going to ask you this, and it's okay to not answer. Is there a distinction that you've seen out there that really is just, because you said there's some that really cause confusion. Is there one in particular that you could think of that maybe people should be leery of when they see someone that only has that? They should at least ask a question, is that the advisor for me? I know what you're saying, what they lack. I mean, CFP, the enrolled agent, and the and CPA are like 3 that are really good. Is there something where someone has that, you're like, what kind of snake oil is that?
Well, funny you ask that. I'll tell you one that I've seen recently, and I don't remember the exact letters, but I think it's like RSSC possibly. What it is it kind of a new designation as far as I know. I could be wrong, but it's specifically trying to tell people that they are with Social Security. I've seen like a lot of Medicare agents, because Medicare agents obviously are working with seniors that are 65, and they add this designation that really doesn't take too long to get.
I see.
And those are one of those designations where they don't require too much studying. The exam's not too long. There's not a lot of the prerequisites to even get that designation. So that'd kind of be an example of one with regards to that.
Gotcha. Well, that's good to watch out for. And here's the deal. If you want someone, I mean, Jimmy, let's remind people what your designations are and how you do continuing education to make sure everything is staying up to date, or maybe to get future ones. Let's remind people of what yours are.
Right. So I am a certified financial planner that also ensures that I operate under the fiduciary code. So I have to provide advice that's in the client's best interest. So if people are in trouble, they can hire a CPA to represent them, hire an attorney, or an enrolled agent can also assist in that matter.
We're back to the alphabet soup. But nonetheless, if you'd like someone, and I love the point you made. We're not just talking about, helping build the deck or something like that, which that's important too. But we're talking about, potentially a 6 or 7 figure number as far as what you need for your retirement to last you through, and someone to, help you plan for that. Or maybe get if you need a second opinion, Jimmy Lynn and the team, Right Path Wealth Management, 702-805-7000, or go to rightpathwm.com. There's a contact button on there where you can either call in, virtual meetings, in-person meetings, and we're getting to a time where it's easy to forget about your finances this time of year if you're listening here in the middle of the year. So please go ahead and just call that and see if it's a right fit for you or not, because Jimmy and the team are going to take it seriously.
Yeah, Doug, what I would say also is that if we have listeners out there, either they're do-it-yourselfers or if they have a current advisor, but that advisor may not have some of these designations we talked about, come and schedule a meeting with us, sit down with us, and just see what the difference is. Maybe you'll see something that you haven't experienced in the past. And so that's something that we offer at no charge. So again, 702-805-7000, they can get on my calendar.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a second opinion really is a great thing to look at just in case. Well, Jimmy, thanks for spending your time here. And we're very glad to know exactly what some of that alphabet stuff means.
Perfect. Enjoyed it.
Hey, we enjoy you. We also are very thankful to Rob Scott, who is now producing this podcast. Rob on the ones and twos over there, getting this polished up, shined up, and put out the show. So big thanks to Rob. And we thank all of you for listening. And again, another reminder, if you hear something here and you're like, gosh, my mom's been asking questions about this, my brother, my friend, send them the link. And this show is available on the main podcatchers, Apple and Spotify, and on rightpathwm.com. So Jimmy Lynn is president, founder, financial advisor, and as he's just mentioned, certified financial planner and enrolled agent at Right Path Wealth Management. Get in touch with them again, 702-805-7000 or rightpathwm.com. I'm your co-host, Doug Turnbull. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon here on the Right Path to Retirement podcast.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Right Path Wealth Management. Right Path Wealth Management is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Right Path Wealth Management are not subject to investment advisory requirements. Investing involves risk, including potential loss of principal. Any reference to the protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing carrier. This radio podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It's not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decision, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Right Path Wealth Management is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Right Path Wealth Management.